This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Premarket webinar for the morning of Monday, the 9th of September. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right, we were having a bit of positive divergence. I was talking about it on the webinar yesterday, and we were having a bit of positive divergence, 5-minute, 15-minute. I was expecting to start today with a rally, and we have been seeing that rally. Now, I'll be watching the declining resistance, which is in the weekly pivot area, 54.94, thinking we might reach that, but no, not necessarily required to. We're still on a weak 6-minute buy signal here on the hourly chart. NQ, no current divergence, seeing a bit of a rally too. RTY, again with the rally, weak 6-minute buy signal is fixed as well. YM, we actually had a weak buy signal last week, but this one actually made target because, of course, Dow, so it's the slowest on the declines and the fastest on the rallies. That's the same again this morning, getting up into resistance in the weekly pivot area. DAX and ESTX, seeing a bit of a rally on both, wilting a bit on both at the moment, but we're pretty close to declining resistance, certainly on ESTX. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, SPX, just to talk about the daily charts, the daily RSI 5 sell signals obviously both made targets, so they're out of play now. Looking at the 5 minutes, this is the wedge that I was talking about on Friday morning. Now, this was a very nice bull flag wedge, not bad quality at all. And of course, it then broke up slightly on Friday morning, and then it broke down hard. Now, the question is this a topping pattern, which is the flag which breaks in the opposite direction? We get these quite a bit. We've got an RSI 14 buy signal here, by the way. This is one reason I was talking about a rally, and we also had a RSI 14 5-minute buy signal as well. But if this has a target to the downside, that would have a target at about the 52.80 area. And at the moment, I've drawn in the arrows, and I'm treating that as a potential target here. But I would be skeptical about arriving at it too soon. There is a good reason to think that we're not going to see a very sharp decline this week, and that is hourly signal, by the way, has reached the target now. But I'm thinking, one, we may find support when we come back to this broken resistance trend line. But on the daily chart, what I'm looking at is the bands. Now, the bands are still compressing. Now, they'll probably turn down again in a couple of days. You can see them just very slightly starting to turn here, but I've got the lower band down less than 50, 3SD lower band down less than 50 handles below the low on Friday. And generally speaking, we rarely reach the 3SD lower band. And when we do, it tends to be, not always, look at this one here, where we continue down for a few days, and then, of course, we make a serious low. But it tends to be a pretty strong bottoming signal. And particularly, this was already heading down, you see. This is still actually heading up. These things take it's a bit like turning a ship. It takes a while. You have to plan it, but these don't turn on a dime. So it's probably going to take much of the week for this to turn down with any conviction. And in that time, I'd be expecting this to hold as pretty good support, unless we were in a really, really, really bearish scenario, which at the moment I'm not seeing any particular reason for. So I'm thinking that we're not going to have a particularly bearish week this week. I think we're starting off with a rally. We'll probably retest the low. We've got decent resistance at the weekly pivot, pretty much throughout, and obviously we're a long way below the daily middle band. One thing I would also mention is on the weekly chart, this is the weekly middle band, and we tested it at the low last week. Now, this obviously that doesn't always hold. None of these things do always hold, but this is a good level. You can see when we back tested it here earlier this year, then we came down, held it, and then broke down below it, and then rejected back above. You can see it tested it as support the week before, and when it reestablished it as support the week after. This is a significant support level, and we may well see a bounce here. And if we see a break-in conversion of this, which would have to be done with weekly closes, obviously, because these are weekly candles, then actually that would be a very bearish sign. But we will see. But in the meantime, I've got lower targets, but there with this caveat here. Well, two caveats. One, the daily middleman's telling us that we're probably not going to see a heavy decline this week. Two, then we actually close the week at a pretty decent level, which often tends to hold pretty much exactly, or into the end of the week. We will see. But it's a big thing to break the week's middle band, and we haven't broken it yet. Looking at NDX, on an RSI 14 buy signal here on the 5 minutes. Possible wedge here. It does have a very nice support trend line here. Very nice. So I'm wondering about a test of the trend line resistance, which I've got at Friday's close in the 18,750 area. Looking at the 15-minute chart, no current divergence. But again, we've got a head and shoulders here with the target significantly below. But this isn't the target we need to reach this week. I have the same comments about the daily middle band here. Sorry, the daily lower bands here. We're already testing the lower band. And down at 18,000 here, we've got the 3SD lower band, which again, not quite as much as SPX, but again, we touched it here, significant rally, touched it here, low, touched it here, low. It's, the 3SD lower band is a big deal. So I'm skeptical about seeing that hit this week. In which case, given that these are also moving up at the moment because the bands are compressing, I'm skeptical about seeing too much downside this week as well. Dow, 5-minute RSI 14 buy signal fixed. Not a bad looking falling channel here. On the bigger picture, I am still wondering about a possible head and shoulders here. And whether that has broken down. I've marked this on the YM chart, but not here. But if that was to break down, hang on, wait a second. Sorry, it's already broken down. But if it was to sustain the break, then that would have a target. Bear with me a moment. Right, hang on. All right. So that would have a target, which would be down significantly below. Pretty good match with the one on YM, actually, I think. But that would be down in about the 39,450 area. So could we go and get that? Yes, we could. How good a match would that be with the daily bands? And that would be 3SD lower bands not down to 39,000 because we've only actually just broken below the daily middle band here. So actually we could make that target. I'm wondering about that, but we'd need to see some relative speeding up, I think, if we were to see that hit at the same time as the couple of the other ones I've talked about. But this is a decent looking head and shoulders, and it has broken down, and that would be the target. So let's have a look at IWM. Looking at the 5-minute chart, no current divergence. Possible head and shoulders here, not quite as nice as as a couple of the others, but target down here would be at 201. So we do have a lot of targets which are suggesting lower, but I'm just skeptical about going an awful lot lower this week, just because we're too close to the 3SD lower band, which is heading up, which is the wrong direction for a decline. So we will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at the DX chart. Now, on the bigger picture yesterday, I was talking about we could form a larger flag here. So this would be the support trend line, and we'd head up here. I was thinking maybe a target in the monthly pivot area or a bit higher. I am wondering about this as a target, which is the declining resistance trend line that I was talking about when I found this nice support trend line. We will see, but I think I'm slightly skeptical about it, and it's not a really obvious thing to do. But I mean, forming a larger flag is something that we may well be doing here. We had a buy signal here, and that's now made target. ZV, just looking at some of the others. Let's just have a quick look at some of the currencies, because here, could this be a larger bull flag forming? Very much so. Does it look as though we might have that on GBP USD? Definitely. So I'm quite liking the higher high within a larger bear flag scenario. Don't know if it can reach this high, but we will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at the ZB chart. Now here, we didn't quite reach the high on ZB, where I would note that we did reach the corresponding low on TNX. TNX, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing, possible daily RSI 5 buy signal brewing. I'm wondering whether we might be about to see a large decline in bonds. But I'm slightly skeptical about that happening at the same time as the interest rate cuts that we are expecting. I was really expecting to see a retest of the low here, but I think the opportunity for that's probably passed. But we do have a potential setup here, so I'm watching it. CL, we're down in the 68 area. I'm thinking that we're probably going to retest the low, the main low in the 63.5 area. We've had a triangle that's broken down. It's probably on the way there. This triangle, which I haven't marked in fully here on G, but I've got to say it is looking rather like a triangle. It would be at an earlier stage, but it's a bearish triangle forming, and sooner or later I'm thinking this might take us back to a retest of the low at 1.52. GC, nice looking bull flag. If the dollar's going to behave soon, although it's going up at the moment, then I would be expecting it to break up that. SI, nice looking double bottom. HG, kind of looks like a bear flag forming at the moment, and I'm wondering whether this was actually close enough to the head and shoulder target in the 4.025 area. We will see. All right, let's have a look at KC, where we have likely bull flag forming, I think. SB looks like a bull flag forming as well, though not as nice. 60-minute sell signals reached the possible near miss target. CC, CC breaking over declining resistance. This could go straight up, and I'm still wondering about a retest of the low that would give us a possible test of this rising support currently at about the 6,700 area. On CT, this looks as though it's heading back into a low retest. Wheat, we've got possible inverted shoulder neckline here, and we could be forming a right shoulder for that. The ideal right shoulder would be at the monthly pivot area 549. But we don't have as clear a setup on corn, although we do have a little double top that's trying to break down here on corn. But it didn't reach the obvious IHS neckline. Looking at soy, nice looking potential double top or possible head and shoulders forming here. 60-minute sell signal has also reached the possible no miss target. Lumber, wondering about a retest of the low before this goes higher, but if it goes a little higher first, then it might just continue. This is getting long in the tooth and a bit high for a bear flag. I wouldn't like to see it go any higher. Live cattle looks as though it is failing back into a retest of the low. That may well be the second low of a double bottom. On lean hogs, we've got a little double top here, which is broken down with a target. First target, obviously, is a possible is a test and possible support at the monthly pivot at 78.85, but the full target for the double top would be in about the 78.125 area. We will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at questions, and let's have a quick review of ES. All right, on ES, I was expecting to see a rally into the morning today. Don't know how long that's going to last, but we do have some pretty obvious resistance trend lines in the weekly pivot area if it can get that high. I would have thought the 5-minute buy signal and possibly the 15-minute buy signal are going to make target at or soon after the open. So they won't last long. We do have some bigger picture buy signals, but we've gone significantly lower since they fixed, so I'm not really leaning on those too much. I am wondering about a back test of the weekly pivot and fail. Unless we can get back over the daily middle bands, which are significantly higher from here, I'm treating this as confirmed downtrend. And at the moment, I'm not seeing anything really to suggest that's going to reverse. But I am thinking that if we are going lower this week, it's not going to be an awful lot lower. We're not going to see declines like the ones we saw last week, because the Bollinger Bands just aren't in the right place for it. All right, my pleasure as always, guys. Anyway, I'll leave you there, and I'll have everything posted as soon as possible. All right, catch you later, guys.